Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today is going to be a sort of slightly special video. I'm going to be doing an Elvis Costello album ranking. This video was requested by a user, Matthew Gall, quite a while back now, I believe. This video did take quite a lot of preparation to do. I think that when it was requested, I wasn't a mega fan of Costello, so I didn't own very much. But now I have got most of his albums out, so I felt that I could do this ranking. Now just a wee note as well, this video only includes the albums up to 1995's Brutal Youth album, so it's everything up to then, as well as two more recent albums, his latest one, Look Now, and one other one which we'll get to rather quickly. So all in all, there's 17 albums which I will be ranking today, so we'll just get started with number 17. Complicated shadows, all you gangsters. Which is this album here from 2009. This one came out. It's called Secret, Profane and Sugarcane. So as I said earlier, I won't be including all of Costello's albums, only the ones which I own copies of. And this is one which I happened to own. I got this one when I was in America, and I just seen it for I think they wanted $13 for it. So I thought, why not? We'll give that one a try. Unfortunately, it's not a brilliant album. I believe Costello said that this was a attempt to sort of do King of America Part 2, so it has this sort of very rootsy, Americana sort of sound to it. However, a lot of these songs, they really just sound the same, they just meander on a little bit, it's just the same sort of musical style throughout. Plus, as well, there's a ton of tracks in it, it's a proper double album this, so really, it could have been cut down quite considerably, this record here. So yeah, it would be my number 17 choice, on this list. Days I remember all my life. Number 16 now is another one of the more recent albums which I've got. It is a Kojak Variety, which I think came out in 1994, I think. So this is a covers record which he made, I think shortly after Mighty Like a Rose. And it isn't a great covers record, I have to say. His choice of songs is it's slightly inconsistent. It's basically just a collection of songs which Costello really liked. There's no real theme to it. So there's some tracks which go back to the 1920s, 1930s, but then there's other more contemporary songs. And it is a slightly mixed bag, this one here, but he does do a brilliant version of the Kinks track Days, which starts off it is a brilliant song to begin with anyway. He doesn't better the original, because really you can't, but he does a great slightly darker, more mysterious version of it, which I do enjoy. So this is a Kojak Variety at number 16. Next up, we go back into time, back to his sort of classic periods, you would say the 80s, for this record, which is Goodbye Cruel World, which this is one which a lot of fans, and even Costello himself, really dislike this album. Basically, it tries to repeat the formula off the successful album Punch the Clock, which came immediately before it. So it's got the same producers, Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley producing, but the song quality just simply isn't there. You have to look, and let's say Costello, he'd been putting out albums consistently since 1977, an album at least once a year. He was bound to come to a point in time where he basically released a flop, and this so happened to be it. But there are still some okay tracks in it. I quite like the opening one, The Only Flame in Town. There's another good track called Worthless Thing on it as well. However, it also includes one of his worst single releases ever, the song I Wanna Be Loved. It's a cover song, and just a really rotten choice for a single there. So this is a Goodbye Cruel World at number 15. These days I'm afraid she's not even sure if her name is Veronica. The next one up is probably going to be one of the more controversial placings on my list, but it's his 1989 album Spike at number 14. A lot of people seem to really like this record, but for me though, I think it's too broad, like off like an album. Like apparently, like this was his first record, like on like the Warner Brothers label, and like he had about I think 4 different ideas like for like albums. I think one was going to be a sort of like rootsy like King of America like sort of styled album. Another one was going to be like a full-on collaboration like with Paul McCartney, like which like would have been like a great like sort of like a proper like sort of like collaboration album between them two. Like would have been absolutely fantastic. Like it never came to be, like unfortunately. Like he was also, I think, like dating I think it was the bassist like from like the Pogues. So like he was doing some more sort of folky stuff, like as well as I think that there were like like ideas like bumbling about. So this one was recorded pretty much like all like around the world, like in like a few like over like a few years. Like, so it really lacks like any like sort of like consistency. However, the songs, I just don't think that the quality's like there, like with most of this album. Like, yeah, like although we do have like Veronica, which is a brilliant like co-write, like with Paul McCartney, definitely the best track on it. A lot like off like the other ones, like just a really like very like forgettable like songs like for like the most part. So yeah, Spike for me would be number 14, not one like of his best albums for me. The next one, also from the 80s, is his first sort of like covers record like which he done, which is Almost Blue, which was released in 1981, and this is a kind of sort of like country like sort of style album, and I rather like it. Like I mean, because unlike sort of Spike and like Kojak Variety, this one definitely has like a definitive sort of like focus like to it. Like there's very much like this was very much like Costello trying to pull like a left field move, like I feel, because like he was sort of like at this time like sort of seen like as like this sort of like angry sort of like punk like new wave sort of guy. So this record coming out was very like unexpected move for him, and it is rather good. Like I mean, like some of the songs like they do start to sound like sort of like very similar like as like we go through the record, like, but he did have a big hit with A Good Year for the Roses on it. Like also love like the opening song like Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do. So yeah, like there is a lot of like worthwhile stuff like on this album here, like plus like it was kind of before like this sort of recent trend like of artists doing like these American songbook albums. Like no one really tended to do like those sort of records like in like the 70s, like so like very much like Costello like almost like invented like a sort of new sort of genre like of album like almost like for like sort of like contemporary pop artists to do like with this one here, Almost Blue. So yeah, would be at number 13 on my list. It was a fine idea at the time. Next up is another one of the maybe more sort of like controversial placings like on my list, but I've got King of America up next, which if you have seen like my review of it, you'll know that I'm not a massive fan like of this album, but I'm pleased to say that it has grown on me like a little bit like since like that review. Like I mean like a lot of like these songs like have kind of like stayed with me. Like I mean stuff like Brilliant Mistakes, fantastic, Lovable's great as well. I also like American Without Tears, Suit of Lights, and a Jack of All Parades. Like, I mean, like there is a lot of like worthwhile stuff, but again, like a lot of Costello's records, like it is very long. Like there's a lot of tracks like on here. Like so, like 1 or 2 of them, like simply like aren't like very good. Like plus like kind of like the music on here, like it was very like sort of like Americana sort of like folk sort of driven like this record here. Like this record, like so there's no sort of real like rockers on it like at all, but still a pretty good record here. 1986 this song came out. I want you if you need a second opinion. And then coming up after that, we've got his other record, which he released in 1986, just showing like his like absolutely like incredible like work rate. It's Blood and Chocolate here. So this one is a very different album like from King of America. There's a lot more rock in this record here, like a lot more sort of like a lot more sort of like electric guitar like based like this record here. Like he was back like with the Attractions like on this album, and like it was apparently like all like pretty much like recorded live. Like there's also like a lot of like sort of like real sort of spitefulness like on like this record. Like I think Costello like was just coming out like off like his like sort of like first like relationship. Like so like there are like sort of like a lot of like really sort of like dark tracks on here, like I Hope You're Happy Now and like I Want You like especially. Like so yeah, this is what might grow on me like a little like but like when like I was listening to like his whole catalogue to like prepare like for this video, like this is one which I was sort of like a little bit like on like the fence with. Like I didn't like instantly love it, like but like I didn't like really hate it either. Like so yeah, it would sit at number 11 on my list. Can I tell them? How can I express how it felt? Okay, now we're into the top 10 now. Starting that off with got his latest record, Look Now, which I think is really, really, really fantastic. I mean, you've just got a great mix like of like sort of like upbeat, soulful numbers, as well as like some like really lovely ballads like as well. So yeah, definitely like one like off like his best records like from like recent years. So yeah, that's his Look Now, number 10. Okay, now next up is one which a lot of people might think that I've put a little bit too high, because this isn't one of his most loved records, but I listened to it like a few times, and I have to say I really do enjoy this record. It is Mighty Like a Rose from 1991 here. So this was kind of like he was sort of like in that transition like at this point, like he was like it was just like after Spike, so like a lot of like the lyrics I got in like are still quite sort of like biting, like a little bit like sort of like angry, like sort of like lyrics I got here, like because Spike like was a very sort of like angry album. Like this one here, like he's toned it down like a little. Like there's also some like off like the Dregs, like off like his like McCartney like collaboration, like So Like Candy, as well as Playboy 2 and Man were both co-writes like with McCartney. And then there's some other just sort of like really sort of like upbeat pop stuff, like The Other Side of Summer's like one like off like his like best singles like off like the 90s, like I would say. So this is a really underrated record, like I think Mighty Like a Rose definitely deserves like a lot more love, I feel. And now at number 8 is one which has grown on me quite a lot like since like I first like reviewed it, like, but I wouldn't quite put it up there like with like his very, very, very best work personally. It is Imperial Bedroom here from 1982, which a lot of people think like is his very, very best album. For me though, there are one too many ballads like on it, but you know there are some like brilliant songwriting stuff like Beyond Belief's great, Tears Before Bedtime's fantastic, Man Out of Time like is like one of his all-time best songs. I really like And in Every Home, and The Loved Ones is great as well. So this is packed full like of brilliant tracks, and there's about 15 songs like on here. So like if he maybe just cut like one or two like off like the weaker ones, I think he would have had a pretty much a perfect album. So yeah, that is Imperial Bedroom, just very much like exquisitely produced like sort of like baroque pop like sort of style record here. 1982 this one came out. 13 steps and then we're going to go forwards in time a bit to the 90s now, with the fantastic Brutal Youth album, which unfortunately I only own like on CD. Like I believe it has been reissued on vinyl, like even that like has got quite hard to find now. I think this is a wonderful album. Like it was a return to playing with the Attractions, like even though like they aren't like, even though like it's not like credited like as like an Elvis Costello and the Attractions album, like they do play like on most of these songs, and it's just rocking, like really, really rocking, like for like the most part, like on stuff like Kind of Murder, like 13 Steps Lead Down, like Sulky Girl, like as well as like the ballads like are really good. Like I love the song London's Brilliant Parade and You Trip to Every Step. Like just like the melody writing, like it's a lot more melodic than most like off like Costello's work. Like just a really, really like great record here. Like one which I think like a lot of people like need to like discover. Brutal Youth, 1994. This one came out. Every day, every day, every day. And now at number 6 is another one maybe of the more controversial placings. Like a lot of people might think that I've put this one far too high, like even like higher than like classics like Imperial Bedroom. But for me, Punch the Clock from 1983 like is slightly better, because this was kind of Costello like sort of like coming after like Imperial Bedroom, like which was not really like a big hit album. Like he was sort of like going for like that sort of like commercial sounds like on here. Like so like he teamed up like with like hit making producers Clive Langer and Alan Stanley, and he got one of his most commercially successful albums here. Like had the hit saying Every Day I Write the Book on it, as well as like Let Them All Talk, like, which is just a really sort of fun like upbeat track. However, there's also like some great sort of like moments like of Costello's sort of songwriting like coming to the fore like on this record. Like he wasn't like, so like Imperial Bedroom's like not really like a political album, like whereas like on here like songs like Shipbuilding and Pills and Soap very much like sort of like express like Costello's sort of like frustration like with like the Margaret Thatcher government like off like the time. So yeah, I think like one like off like is more like underappreciated albums here. Punch the Clock would come in at number 6 on my list. The teacher never
told you anything but.
And now at number 5 we have his 1981 release Trust here, which another underrated record I think from Costello. Like I mean, like this is kind of like it's like often not sort of like put in like with like his classic run like off like his first 4 albums, but I think this is almost just as good like as them. Like again, like it's a really long record, like very sort of sprawling album, like but just a lot more sort of like sophisticated like sort of like arrangements, like especially like on here, especially like on songs like New Lace Sleeves and like Watch Your Step. Like I mean, like there's just like some great stuff on it, as well as like sort of like more like rocking like sort of like fun moments, like From a Whisper to a Scream, like which is like a fantastic duet with Squeeze's Glenn Tilbrook. It just really shows like sort of like Costello like sort of like transitioning like as like an artist, like very much like sort of like he's like on the road to sort of like Imperial Bedroom and like sort of like King like of America like on this album here. But just ahead of that, I've gone for the record which was immediately before 1980's Get Happy here, and I just always loved this album. Like I mean, I feel like this is just such a fun, like sort of like upbeat, like sort of like carefree album. Costello very much like paying homage like to sort of the Motown and like sort of like Stax like soul records like which like he grew up on, and all these songs are just short, snappy, and to the point. Like there's 20 of them like on like this single vinyl, and they're all just really sort of like upbeat. Like maybe like 1 or 2 of them like have like sort of like very sort of similar sound to them, but you know, the songwriting's still great. Like I mean, like he's just writing like fantastic like sort of like concise pop like melodies like on here. So yeah, Get Happy, like very much like one like off like his best records. Let's be honest with you now, like any given day, like off like the week, like any of these 3 could be like at number 1. But you know, this is just like the way like I feel like right now. So at number 3 we've got his 1979 album Armed Forces here. So this is just a really lushly produced album, like one like where like the lyrics are still very much like top notch, like but the music like is a bit more sort of like pop driven like compared to like his previous like 2 albums. Like you've got like hits today like Oliver's Army and like Accidents Will Happen, like as well like as like still sort of very biting, like sort of like this is kind of like the start like of like his more like sort of like political writing like on stuff like Two Little Hitlers and like Sunday's Best like as well, like has like these sort of like political like sort of like undertones like on them. But you know, a brilliant record though, like really like one like off like his like best albums, probably like in terms of off like production and sound, like I would say like this is like his best record. And at number 2, we've got his classic debut album, 1977's My Aim Is True, which is, again, a wonderful, wonderful piece of work here. Just one of the all-time great debut albums. I would say never has an artist like you like would go on to have such like a large career like as like Elvis Costello like made like such an impact like with like their debut records. Like again, like I mean, like occasionally like you get bands like say the Stone Roses like or like the Sex Pistols, like you like maybe just like have like the one great record, like but like as like you can see from this list, Costello has had a real sort of like handful like of like really great albums, and like this was very much like where like it all began. Notably, this is like the only album like from like his early output like not to feature like the Attractions, like instead like it features like a like American band called Clover, and they do I think a really great job like of like backing him up, especially like in like the especially in the arrangements department, like where like I forget like they're like guitarist, but like whoever it is plays some brilliant lead guitar like on Allison, like as well as like I'm Not Angry, like the Angels like Wanna Wear My Red Shoes. You know, just the songs on here lyrically are top notch, musically quite varied like as well. Like there's some like sort of like upbeat sort of like punky ones, like there's some sort of like country ones like and stuff like say like Blame It on Kane and like Sneaky Feelings, like a sort of bit of soul like on No Dancing. So like yeah, like just like a very sort of like sprawling record, like but still sort of like quite concise and like very much like has like this sort of like real sort of like angst and like sort of like attitude to it. My Aim Is True, absolute classic at number 2. I want to go to Chelsea. Oh, no, it does not. But for me, at number 1 would have to go to 1979's This Year's Model, his second album and first release with the Attractions. yeah, just almost faultless records here. Like every song like is really fantastic. The musicianship especially like is great like on here. Also lyrically like as well, Costello is like writing like just fantastic like lyrics, like fantastic like sort of like wordplay like throughout this record, but also melodically like this record is just full of like pop hooks, like be it like sort of like Costello's like sort of like lyrics, but also like Steve Naive's like keyboards. Like there's just like so many sort of like textures like on here like which really like do like stick in your head, like very much like sort of like an album like full like of earworms, I would say. So yeah, that is this year's model number one of the best albums of all time, like I would say. So yeah, that's been my ranking of Elvis Costello's albums, or like at least like most of them. Like so yeah, he is a wonderful artist. Like I mean like incredible sort of like consistency, like especially like in like his like early years. Like yeah, he maybe went slightly like off like the rails like in like the late 80s, like into like the 90s, like he got a little bit more patchy. But you know, he still remains like as like one of like all like great like sort of like singers, like one of like a great like songwriters. So yeah, like just wanted to do this video pretty much like just sort of like celebrate like his like career. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed the ranking. Like, I would be very interested to know what like you think, like in like the comments, like what like your favorite albums like off like his are, because the thing is like with Costello, like any number like of people like can have completely sort of like different like take like on like what's his best album. Like a lot of people say it's Imperial Bedroom, lots of people say it's like King of America, some people say it's like some like more recent output, you know. So like he has got like such like a big catalogue for everyone that very much like has like their own take like on like what like his best work is. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.